Today we've got a fragrance from the house of Memo Paris. And this might be one that, I gotta be honest, I don't like it. But we're still gonna talk about it. Stay tuned. All right, welcome. Oh, let's pop that back up. Welcome to the Scent Bubble. I am your host for the evening. And if you're watching the intro, you might ask yourself, why the heck are you going to talk about a fragrance that you don't like? Well, here's the short answer, guys, and it's honest. One, it's content. Two, it's truly a part of my fragrance journey because I tried this fragrance hoping and wanting to love it and truly didn't. And so I think that's worth sharing because I think a lot of you guys experience that. There's nothing worse than buying a fragrance with your hard-earned money and not being impressed with it or excited about it. We work hard for our money, and when we buy bottles of fragrance, it hurts your heart when you are disappointed by a fragrance. Here's another scenario. You have a fragrance you've been hearing people talk about, and you decide to buy a sample. And so you spend the money, you wait a week or two to get the sample. So it takes 2 to 3 weeks in total to kind of discover the fragrance and watch all the YouTube on it and then order it and wait the week or two. And then you finally get the sample and you're excited for that validation of loving the sample to validate the purchase, because we don't love buying samples for the sake of having samples. We buy samples to save money, but to get to the end goal, which is making better decisions on fragrance. So the second worst thing is just getting a sample. You want to love it based off what people were saying about it, but you find out it sucks and you're not going to be buying the bottle, which it's nice because you saved the money, but ultimately you wanted to get the fragrance because you wanted to love it. And so I think that that's a very valid part of the fragrance journey. And so I'm going to share it with you guys. How did I end up with this fragrance? This is from Memo Paris, and this is Italian leather. And this is where my journey stopped, was at the sample. I did not go forward with the bottle. Memo Paris make expensive fragrances. How did I come across Italian leather? Well, I am a madman, absolutely in love with African leather from this house. I think it's a wonderful fragrance. And had I not had Carlisle in my collection, African leather would be my number one fragrance with that type of DNA. I prefer Carlisle more because I think it's slightly more sophisticated, less pissy, and I'll explain what I mean by that later if I remember. But it's just in that realm of DNA of that kind of zingy, ambery, warm, citric, but more. Let me pull up this DNA because my mind's wrapped around the whole Italian leather thing right now. African leather. Let's see what's actually in that fragrance, because it doesn't smell like African leather, like, you know, the literal African leather. Okay, so African leather notes. Let's go here. Bottle looks extremely unique, but that aside, cardamom, leather, saffron, cumin, patchouli, vetiver, geranium, agarwood, bergamot, musk. In a nutshell, this fragrance smells like Carlisle, but slightly dumbed down. I almost liken it to, I have a very weird description of African leather, and even though I describe it this way, it doesn't turn me off to the fragrance at all. The cover of African leather is like a leopard. This fragrance smells like expensive, like the most beastly lion in the jungle. It smells like a mix of his urine and like you took a little bit of tiger's urine and you dressed it up super classy and gave it some zing. It's got punch, it's brash, it's hello, I'm here, but it's also sophisticated, and as you could tell, like the notes on here are just like ultra man. You know, you got the cardamom, the leather, the saffron, but then it's cumin, but then it's vetiver, but then it's geranium, but then it's oud, citrus. Like, what are we doing here? It's kind of a note profile you have to put your nose on because it sounds crazy the way I'm talking about it. But in reality, it's got somewhat of a linearness to it in the packaging of it. Like, it's packaged as very much like, you know, like a zesty but warmed up leathery saffron balm with like a touch of citrus and vetiver, but it's slightly oudy. I don't know. It's just a man's fragrance, and it's a DNA I absolutely love. But I think Carlisle did it better. It's less pissy, you know what I'm saying, for lack of better words. But we'll break down Carlisle and we'll break down African leather at a later time. And we're now 5.5 minutes into the video, but I think a good story time's fun, guys. You know, this is my fragrance journey, and this is how I walk through these fragrances mentally. And so anyway, I absolutely love African leather. When I smelled it, I know a lot of people say it's either incredible or it's not their cup of tea, and I understand. It's aggressive in its DNA, and you can see based off the note breakdown that is the case. However, I loved it. And so I thought, okay, African leather. And then I looked into Memo Paris and saw they have a bunch of different leathers, you know? And so the next fragrance in line that looked slightly intriguing to me was Italian leather. I didn't look at the note breakdown. I just thought Italian leather in my mind. And this was dumb of me because I know African leather does not smell like literal African leather because I have the fragrance. I should have known that Italian leather would not smell like Italian leather, but I was not thinking. I thought, ooh, Italian leather is like regular leather, but probably a little bit lighter and a little bit different. And, you know, I have a couple leather bags in my business closet. So I have Italian leather and I know what Italian leather smells like, and it smells good. So I, for some reason, thought that this Italian leather fragrance would smell like my actual Italian leather. And so that brought me to my curiosity. I did not look at the note breakdown. I just looked at the name. This was early on in my fragrance journey, but nonetheless, bought the sample. And I don't really know what's going on in here, but when you look at the note breakdown, it'll be extremely intimidating. So before we do that, let's put this on a test strip. If you look at the Memo Paris line and you kind of think that because it says such and such leather on every fragrance that they're all going to smell slightly like leather but nuance, I think you're mistaken. Some are more successful than others, but they are, one thing is for sure, they're all very unique in how aggressively manly and forward they are. This has almost the tiniest touch of Italian leather in its smell, but it's not it, guys. It does smell expensive, but it smells like a 25% touch of real Italian leather, almost ice creamed up to be like sweet and airy, but super pungent by like some random notes of like almost like earthy, floral, sweet. But then it's got some random notes in it that I don't know, guys. But again, slight Italian leather, but just ramped up with like sweet, but then pungent, floral. It just gets out of control. I don't know what this fragrance is trying to do. It's so aggressive and like brash. It almost starts like a suede leather, and you're like, oh, it's kind of sweet suede leather, and then it just takes a nosedive in the realm of weird. Let's look at the note breakdown here, guys. So we've got this. Probably should turn off 90% of the men who look at this note breakdown. We have leather up top, okay. Tomato leaf, vanilla. In the weirdest way possible, guys, I smell all of that, and it's not a good thing. In the middle, we have more tomato leaf, as if someone would smell this fragrance and say, give me more tomato. Galbanum, labdanum. So these are just like ramping this fragrance up to be super pungent. Then we have orris root and clary sage. This medley with the tomato leaf just makes it, the more you smell this, the more your stomach will turn. Like, it's almost like it starts okay and then gets disastrous. Anyone who likes this fragrance, let me know in the comments. Like, not just likes it, like you smell it. There's a difference between smelling a fragrance and actually wearing it. If you wear this fragrance, put it in the comments. People need to know who you are. And then in the base, we have more leather. And so 2 instances of leather. We talked about this many times, how too much leather is where everybody gets it wrong. So more leather, to more, 2 instances of tomato leaf, 2 instances of vanilla absolute. I don't know why you would ever throw more vanilla on top of more leather on top of more tomato. Like, you lost me there. And again, had I seen this note breakdown, I would have immediately canceled my sample order. And I'm so glad I ordered the sample first. Benzoin, Tolu balsam, so it's got balsams in it. Then frankincense, so it's going down the spice route. Apopanox, what is that? So more resins and balsams. Sandalwood and musk, and then it tries to get normal again. Not it, guys. This is one of those fragrances that is so odd. You almost have to buy it just to say you did, like just the sample. If you find a sample under 10 bucks of this and you want to prank somebody and let them know, like, hey, I got a fragrance for you, give them this, because they'll, on first whiff, they'll go, oh, thanks, and then they'll put it to skin and just probably throw up. I'm not a fan of Italian leather by Memo Paris, guys. How much is this fragrance going for? This seems like a connoisseur, like really oddball type of guy type of fragrance. $117. $160. $130. The big bottle of this is $364. Look at this stuff, guys. I can't make this up. Who would want to buy a big bottle of this? Yeah, they missed the mark on this, guys. They really did. Not a fan of this fragrance, guys. Is there anything of value I can give you here? Oh, there is. The clone of African leather, and I'm going to look it up off screen. I think it might be Maison Alhambra. It is. Okay. So let's switch screens here. The clone of African leather is very solid. In fact, the clone of Carlisle is very solid as well, and we'll get to those at a later episode. So I would venture to say that the Italian leather clone is probably a better alternative if you get the sample, if you even dare to go in the realm of Italian leather, guys. If you find in the sample that you like it, Maison Alhambra or someone similar probably has this note profile in a $15 to $20 fragrance. I know the African leather clone, as you can see, is only 15 bucks here for 100 ml. So if you can find an Italian leather clone, if that's your cup of tea, I'm not judging you. There will be a clone out there for less than $20 after shipping that you should go after instead. No one should pay north of $100 for this fragrance. This is where quality just isn't put to use correctly, and you have high quality crap. I hate to say it, guys. Ugh, it's just nauseating. I'm throwing the test strip away. Final takeaways. If you do like this fragrance, I hate that I'm even bringing value to it. It's a cold weather fragrance, no question. If you even dare to wear this in any kind of heat, you will get the police called on you. This is a man's fragrance. I would almost call this 35 and up if you even dare to touch a profile like this. It might even be 40 and up. It has a freshness to it, but in the worst type of way. This is beast mode. This is projective. This is sillage. This is like three spray killer. Yeah, guys, that's enough. You know, we're done here. Again, if you do wear this fragrance, not if you like it, don't be one of those ding dongs that smells samples all day or sniffs your fragrance bottles but doesn't wear your fragrances talking about, oh, well, it's sophisticated and I like the touch of leather. No. Do you wear the fragrance? If so, put it in the comments below. Other than that, this is a pass for me, guys. I didn't move forward with this fragrance, and coming back to it later, like I have, I don't regret that decision at all. Money well saved. Again, this is Memo Paris's Italian leather. It's a miss for me, and I hope you guys have a blessed week. Until next time, see y'all later.